Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about A Quiet Place. Since we have the new one coming out, Quiet Place Day 1, I figured it's time to sit down and watch these movies and review them for the channel so that maybe, hopefully, I can finally get a out-of-theater review here in a couple days. I think it comes out in like 5 days. And I had a really good time sitting down and watching these movies back to back just a few nights ago. They serve as a really good double feature, and it was my first time watching the second one. I had seen this first one a while back, but I remembered almost nothing. I was in dire need for a rewatch. So as I said, we're going to be reviewing A Quiet Place today, released in 2018 and directed by John Krasinski. So this movie tells the story of a family that is in the midst of basically the end of the world. It's like an apocalypse. These aliens have come to Earth and they are super sensitive to sound. The drop of a pin, they hear it, and that's what they come after. You cannot make a noise. You have to stay completely silent, hence to the name. We start out the movie a ways into the apocalypse. I think it's around 470 days, if I'm not mistaken, 472, something like that. And so they've already kind of established we're following this family of a mother and father and their three children, I believe, two sons and a daughter. And since we start out over a year and a half into the apocalypse, they've already kind of established their plans and like their layout of this new world that they have to live in. They have like sand paths everywhere they go, and they have to walk barefoot to stay even more quiet. We start out in a grocery store. They're resupplying. It just right off the bat, it grabs your attention with how quiet the movie is. I mean, this movie is almost completely silent. You could almost classify it as a silent film. It's just jarringly silent. I could hear my ears ringing while I was watching this, and there's not dialogue for a very long time. They use sign language to talk, and I think it's really cool. It really works. It really adds to the suspense. It builds suspense very well in this movie. The silence just, it's amazing how just being completely quiet can build the suspense so much. So, spoilers ahead, but at the beginning of this movie, we basically get them walking back from the grocery store, and their kid had snuck a toy rocket ship out of the store, which he's not supposed to have because they can make noise. And he starts playing it, and it starts playing noise right before they get on this bridge. And it's an intense scene of the dad and the monster coming after the kid, both of them trying to get to him first, and the monster ends up getting him. And that's like the cutscene of the opening, and then we cut to like, I'm pretty sure over like 100 days later or something like that, and the mom is pregnant again. So that's kind of the cold opening of this movie. It's very jarring. I was not expecting it right off the bat, a child death. So John Krasinski actually plays the father in this movie, and I think he does exceptional. I think he does a great job. I loved him in it, along with Emily Blunt that plays his wife, which is the mother, and then the two kids that are left because the youngest boy died, which is Reagan and Marcus. They adapted very well to this world. The daughter, actually, Reagan was already actually deaf, so she's kind of already tuned into how life is. She can't hear anything anyways, and she already knows sign language. So this family already knew sign language before this happened, which obviously helped them tremendously. So I thought that was a really cool aspect of the movie and a very clever way of making this family seem stronger and obviously making them be able to outlast this world longer than most people. So as I said, the mother is pregnant again. So obviously right off the bat, you're thinking, how is she going to have a baby in this world? She has to stay completely silent, and that leads up to a very intense scene, which we'll talk about. I have to give props to the writers in this movie as well, because they had to work with a world that has to be completely silent, and they seem to always build up the suspense in almost every scene. You never get bored of the movie from its quietness. You never get bored at all. There's always something around the corner. You're wondering what's going to happen next. And I really love that aspect of the movie. I love the setting of this movie as well. This family is living on a farm. I don't know if it was actually their house before it happened or if they took it over. It's never actually clarified, but if I had to guess, they probably took it over. They have crops growing. It's just a big farmhouse. They have a silo, which they light a fire on every night to see who else is left. Everyone lights a fire, and it's just kind of like them checking in with each other every night. But it's a really cool setting. It has almost a fall setting to it, which always gains points with me. But I love the farm setting. They have like lights strung up to show the pathways of where they need to go at nighttime, and it's just a really cool layout. I love the setting of this movie, and they pulled off very clever ways of like their quiet strategies and how they stay quiet in this world. Like I said in the beginning of the movie, how they put sand everywhere they walk so that it's quieter than the rocks that you would usually walk on, and how they take their shoes off because bare feet is always quieter. And then I have to talk about the birth scene because it's probably one of the greatest scenes in modern horror history, because you have the alien which has already invaded the house because of a noise it heard, and you have the mother upstairs in the bathtub, and her water has broke. She's having the baby, and she has to stay completely quiet. The father and the kids are outside because the father and son went on like a run. The father was trying to teach the son a few things about how to survive, and the daughter was upset because they didn't take her with her. So that's where they are. She kind of went to chase them. They're out doing their own thing, but they were on their way back. They kind of know what's happening now at this point, that she's in the bathtub having the baby. The lights all turned red, which is also a really cool thing. The lights that I was talking about that light up the pathways is almost like a security system as well. It turned red, and that's how they know that something has happened and it's bad. So they're fighting off monsters outside while trying to get into the house, and the mother is giving off a great performance in the bathtub, just trying to stay quiet. And they finally get fireworks to go off, which distract the monsters, and then she finally yells because we learned earlier with the waterfall that if something is louder, you can talk normally as long as there's something louder, and it just kind of works that way. And the ending was great. Again, spoilers if you didn't already know, spoilers. The ending is great with the father sacrificing himself to save the kids while they're in the truck, stuck in the truck, and they just kind of roll away, and the dad sacrificing himself. I wasn't expecting that. I actually thought that happened in the second one. I thought it happened in A Quiet Place Part 2. So that really did catch me off guard. I wasn't expecting it yet. I seen a clip of it, so it kind of got ruined for me. So I knew it was going to happen, but I genuinely thought it was going to happen in the second one. So it still kind of caught me off guard, even though it was spoiled for me. So that was a really great scene. The monster design is very unique in this series as well. You could somewhat say it kind of resembles a Demogorgon from Stranger Things, but at the same time, it's pretty different. Their entire head is almost like an ear. They have little pieces that raise up, and it's like sensory. It's really cool. It's hard to explain. You just have to see it to know what I'm talking about. But a really cool monster design. I think they're pretty scary, and they're really fast, which is always scarier. So my overall thoughts of this movie is I really liked it. I loved the quiet aspect of it. It really put off a vibe that was super creepy and jarring, just how actual silence it was. The character building was great. I loved the kids. I loved the mother and father. I thought they all played very well. None of them were dull. None of them were boring. I loved watching all of them on screen. All the sequences, there's never really a dull moment in this movie. You're just waiting what's going to happen around the next quarter, what's going to drop and make a noise, what's going to accidentally start playing and make a noise. It's just, they set off that tone very great in each set of the movie. So overall, I'm going to give A Quiet Place a 4 stars. I think it's a great horror movie that everyone should check out. You could even argue that it's a 4.5, and I wouldn't argue if somebody put it as a 5. It's just not quite on that level for me. If modern monster movies was more my type, it would definitely be a 5. But even that being said, it's still a 4-star movie to me. I loved it. Let me know what you guys think of the original A Quiet Place. We'll have a conversation down below. I'll have A Quiet Place Part 2 review dropping soon. Let me know if you guys are excited for the new one coming out. See you guys in the next one.